You are human. I am human as well. Every human on this planet needs certain things to survive. Food, water, and most important, sleep. Now, in addition to being human, we are also college students, which makes us special in the sense that our necessities can be a little bit fluctuated at times. I am formerly a student at the University of Kentucky, and as a music student, one of the things I partake in is called Jury Week, which is basically a final performance for all of the music students there. Now, I was accompanying, playing piano for several singers at the time, and doing this and practicing and things like that, my sleep schedule was not as regular as it should have been. And I was getting an average of about 4 to 5 hours of sleep a night. Well, it was about early December and I woke up and I had become so disoriented that I could not tell if it was 6:30 in the morning or 6:30 at night. So I proceeded to even go across the street to Tally Ho, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that restaurant or not, and proceeded to eat my dinner. And then I started looking outside and noticing that it was getting brighter and brighter. And I could not explain why for about 2 hours. That's how disoriented I was. On that note, sleep is very important. But now we question why. Why is sleep so important to us? The body requires sleep for several reasons. Our immune system needs our sleep to rejuvenate ourselves so we can fight off the everyday bacteria and viruses that we see no matter where we go. Our nervous system is the key to our sleep, and that it is what is most evident for us. One of the things that sleep does is it shuts down used neurons throughout the body so that it can recuperate and clean itself of all the byproducts that it accumulates throughout the day. On top of that, it exercises different neural connections that we don't normally use on an everyday basis so that it can maintain them and so they don't deteriorate over time. As a matter of fact, during your sleep, your brain is the most busiest in its entire existence as opposed to being awake because it has so much work to do. Now, lastly, which is not so important for us, is growth. Is that while you're asleep, the body actually releases human growth hormones so that it can recuperate the entire body as well as your pituitary glands, your adrenal glands, so it can calm itself down. Now, with that being said, us as college students and sleep don't necessarily go together hand in hand. A study at Stanford University showed that almost 2/3 of all college students have pulled all-nighters, meaning that gone the entire night without sleeping and doing a paper right before the final exam or whatnot. So, however, the National Sleep Foundation has proven that everyone needs an average between 7 and 10 hours of sleep. And you ask yourself, when's the last time you've got 10 solid hours of sleep? Been forever for me, so just have to take it in stride. But another thing that's shown with that also, that was actually a recent study, is that those who sleep more on a regular basis actually weigh less. Now, you kind of think about that. Now, why is that possible? Because you think your body would be active. Not necessarily, because your body burns calories throughout your sleep as well. And if you keep yourself on a regular basis, it can actually keep your metabolism rate normal, and it won't think that it's going into hibernation or it needs to store fat for itself. So those who sleep on a regular basis more actually are healthier in that sense. Now, the lack of sleep, that what we suffer from time to time, everyone has identified, everyone knows what happens, is that you have delayed reactions to whatever you're doing, and also you have a tendency to make more mistakes, like say on a test, which would be very important for all of us. Now, on top of that, there are also some long-term effects of not having enough sleep. I spoke with Dr. James Thompson at the Sleep Disorders Clinic in Lexington, and I was asking him basically what the long-term effects are, since everyone pretty much knows the short-term. Long-term effects can be very, very unhealthy. One of the things that happens is that you start having heart problems, heart issues. your pulse and your blood pressure both become elevated at the same time. You also suffer from slower neural activity, that you cannot respond to things as well, that you cannot mathematically process things, and they just slowly deteriorate. Also, impaired daily activity. It just slowly builds itself up to the point that if you go an entire week of less than 4 hours of sleep, or 4 hours of sleep or so, or even to the extent of 1 day for some, that your body will become so impaired that you will be the equivalent of someone who is drunk with a blood alcohol content of 0.1. Now you think in the state of Kentucky the blood alcohol content legally is 0.08, so you would be above that. Now, you think, how is that relevant? Over 500,000 accidents a year is because of sleep deprivation. You have to have sleep no matter where you're going. Now, another one of those that I talked to him about was sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is basically the body's ability not to be able to breathe correctly during your sleep. And that's those who snore very loud, who stutter in their breathing, what it may be. And that is related to the lack of sleep. Now, it's a staggering statistic to that, is that 1 in every 20 men have sleep apnea in one form or another. Now, one of those men happens to be my father, and he actually has been on what's called a CPAP machine for several years now. What that is a mask that you wear during your sleep that forcefully pushes oxygen and air into your lungs while you sleep, because he couldn't do it on his own. And what that resulted in is that, like I said, sleep is where your brain kind of cleans itself out. If you don't have the oxygen to do that, your brain can't do its job normally. And what happened to him is his brain became so deficient on oxygen that parts of his brain ceased to work. It was temporary, thank God. But still, he got up that morning and he had no short-term memory. He couldn't operate at all and was asking the same questions, and he even drove himself to work and did not remember it. He didn't know who I was, he didn't know who my mother was. That's how serious it is. It's called a transient ischemic attack, a TIA. And he suffered 3 of those. Finally, we got that fixed with the CPAP machine, and there's also several medications to take care of that. But it is a serious problem. Normally it's fixed very easy with surgery. But the point is, you want to avoid getting there if you can, because it can cause all kinds of problems. Now, you think to yourself, well, I've got so many things to do, how do I get more sleep? You know, I have papers to write, I have tests to study for, I have friends to go hang out with, I have to go eat, things like that. Everyone asks themselves these questions. But is it really important enough to sacrifice yourself to that extent? Now, there are several ways we can get more sleep. Hundreds of ways. Some of those ways, they're quick, is to obviously avoid eating right before you go to bed. That slows down your metabolism, and it also speeds up your pituitary glands, and the fact that it actually enhances neural activity and it keeps you from going to sleep. Sleep in complete darkness if you could, because even the smallest bit of light can activate your body. No TV, which is kind of hard because I was a child that fell asleep and woke up to a television set. But at the same token, just stay away from the television while you're going to bed. That keeps your brain active to the point where you just completely wear yourself out. Keep a journal. That just gives your body and your mind time to wind down and just let you fall asleep peacefully. One of the hardest parts, going to bed at a reasonable hour. Now, a lot of the glands and organs in your body actually cleanse themselves and repair themselves between the hours of 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. And that goes with your brain and your body as well. That's when your body has designated itself to go to sleep. Now, back before televisions or anything really existed, back in, say, between the 10th and 13th century, what happened was men and women went to sleep as soon as the sun went down and woke up as soon as the sun came up, which is what animals do and which is the natural cycle of nature. However, we've learned over time to ignore that. So, but if you can do that, it will help you out tremendously. One thing, no caffeine. everyone, it's kind of obvious why we don't want to have caffeine before we go to sleep. And last but not least is a hot shower. What that does is it relaxes all of your muscles and in turn relaxes and sends out endorphins into your body and will help you fall asleep to an amazing extent. Even guys, if you want to, a bubble bath might not be a bad idea. So, in conclusion of all this, you think to yourself, well, this could be important, it could not be. It's an individual choice. But everyone loves to sleep. I love to sleep, you love to sleep, I'm human, you're human. And we need our sleep for all the reasons I talked about. The question to ask yourself, why deny yourself the opportunity? Thank you.